I'm gonna be dead ass. Why is it like low key controversial to just like talk to people nowadays? Because the older generation, like they be going up to people and striking out conversation with strangers, and we think that they're weird as hell for it. But honestly, like it's just socializing, it's just community. And like if you do that, like as a younger person, people are gonna call you fucking autistic.
Well, what's up, my friend? This is Real English Radio, a podcast for all the ladies and gentlemen out there who want to learn about life, English, and communication skills, and hear me talk about absolutely nothing from time to time. I am your host, Tony Kaizen, and in this episode, we're going to talk about an issue that seems to be affecting anyone and everyone who was born after the year 1990, which includes the majority of you listening right now. And the issue is that we simply aren't talking to each other like we used to. We don't know our neighbors. We don't speak to our coworkers. We don't greet people in the streets. And the only people we know personally are those who either have our last name or knew us before we graduated high school. Which is somewhat amusing because even though many of us crave opportunities to socialize and connect with other people, we tend to pull out our phones and ignore those people whenever those opportunities present themselves. Or when someone tries to connect with us, we don't reciprocate any of the effort or energy, and the result is the same. It's just more loneliness and more frustration.
Yo, so I was in class yesterday, and someone came in with the Nike Rejuvenate slide joints that just came out. If you haven't seen those yet, go look at them. I have a pair already, but bro had some on, and I was wearing mine. I was like, oh shit, bro, like I like your shoes, bro. Like I'm wearing them too. Like, you know, woo woo. I was just trying to make conversation because I'm like, bro, like never talked to you before, bro, but now we have something in common. Like, let's just spark up our conversation and then go about our day. Like, it's not that big of a deal, you know? Bro, give me a nod like this. Sat down, kept it pushing. Like, what happened to like just socially interacting with other people, bro? Like, it's like I don't get like why people in this generation don't talk to people. Like, it's like a forbidden thing. Sorry, I like to talk. Sorry, I like to interact. Joke's on me, I guess.
All right, my friend. Now, before we move forward, I'll say, as I often do, don't feel bad if you couldn't understand the guy that was just talking or the girl from the first clip, because especially the guy that was just talking, he was speaking pretty fast and pretty low. So it's understandable if you had a hard time following what he was saying. And if you don't know, you can subscribe to my Patreon and get access to not only a transcript of the episode, but also the script that I wrote for this episode, which has vocabulary explanations and other notes and stuff like that to make sure that you really understand what's being said while you're listening. All right. Now, after listening to those two clips, regardless of how much you actually understood, you probably got the idea that both of these people are talking about this issue. It's like, why the fuck don't people talk to each other anymore? What happened to basic social interactions just in the day-to-day of our lives? Just when you're in the streets or you're in line at the grocery store or you're in class, you're at work, why do people act like it's a cardinal sin to speak to people that you don't know, to make casual conversation, to make a bit of small talk? Like, what the fuck happened? What the fuck is going on? And I think that, of course, we've talked about this countless times over the past fucking, 20 years? Isn't that crazy? I mean, the iPhone came out like 06, 07, I think. And I don't know when the first social media apps came out. So I'll say, I don't think it was the internet because that came out in the 90s, the iPhone like 06, 07. I would say when the social media apps started to gain traction, started to gain popularity. Again, it's no secret that since that moment, our ability, our desire, our tendency to socialize has been heavily affected. I'm not saying anything new. I'm aware of that. And that's not what this episode is actually about. The episode is more about looking at why that is, like what changed and how, because a lot of times we will sit back and say, man, these fucking phones are destroying the kids, these social media apps, they're ruining our attention span and people don't talk to each other anymore. But why? What kind of changes were made, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at here. So let's just get into it because I feel myself rambling. Why have things changed is the question I wrote here in my notes. I'm gonna try to stay on topic in this episode. And I think that sticking with that idea, that one thing that has had a major effect, one major change, is that digital communication is now the standard. Like, that comes first. We do things online first, not just communication, but shopping and for entertainment. Like, everything is online first. Whether it's DMs on Instagram, group chats, and the text messages on Discord, the comment section on fucking TikTok, for example. That's where most people's communication takes place, outside of the moments when they're obligated to talk to someone face to face, like at work or maybe at home with family, or when you're shopping, you have to talk to a what do they call them? The store employee or something like that. Unless you're obligated to talk to someone face to face, you're probably doing it all online, and you probably prefer to do it that way. Like small talk, face to face interactions and stuff like that. At the risk of sounding corny and cliche, it's a thing of the past for a lot of people. Not everyone, we're generalizing, of course. But now it's like the standard of communication is memes and emojis and shit like that. You know what I mean? People texting each other all goddamn day, sending the crying, laughing emoji face and shit, knowing goddamn well they didn't even crack a smile. You know what I'm saying? That's the standard now. That's the way a lot of people communicate. And it's also with the introduction of that technology, the ability to communicate with people digitally via text message, DM, and all that shit, memes, emojis and stuff, it's psychologically safer, even if only in the short term, because in the long run, I don't think it's safer. But in the moment, it's more convenient and more comfortable, because when you're just texting, sending DMs and shit, you can respond whenever you want. You can take as long as you want to respond. You can think about how you're going to respond in a way that you can't necessarily do when you're talking to someone face to face. So it feels safer. You know what I mean? There's less pressure than there is when you're talking to someone face to face and they say something to you and you're expected to respond in a reasonable amount of time. You know what I mean? So I think that's a big change, is that since things have become so much more digital, communication online is now the standard. And so I think it's understandable for a generation of kids who grew up communicating that way. Like, that's the way they're going to prefer to communicate. It's like, that's what they know. And again, I'm generalizing because I know personally, and I've seen plenty of kids who still go outside and ride their bikes and play basketball, and they socialize at school, they go over to their friend's house and shit. I'm not saying like everyone only communicates online, but we know this is a problem, right? But honestly, man, we talk about the introduction of digital communication, social media, the smartphone. What I think is at the heart of all of this is just pure social anxiety, bro. Like, the phone is one thing, and then the phone definitely increases social anxiety for a lot of people. It certainly does. But I think even before that, bro, it was always social anxiety. The phone just made it worse. I think that people with social anxiety are very, very uncomfortable with the nature of spontaneous interaction, because they don't know what to say or how to say it, and for that reason they're kind of afraid of whatever's coming next. I mean, that's what anxiety is, right? You're fearing the unknown in the future. So if you're in a conversation and you don't know what this person's about to say, or you don't know how they're going to react to what you say, you don't know what you're going to say next, like, you're just afraid of what's coming next, the unknown. And so for a lot of people, man, I don't even think it's that they don't want to interact. It's not that they don't like talking to people. I think they're just afraid to. I really think that's what it is. And so when you add the phone into the equation, one major change that has resulted, or that has come about, I should say, because of the introduction of social media, is now people are hyper aware of how they're being perceived all the time. Because if you're posting on social media all the time, like you're constantly fixated on how people are receiving or perceiving your content. How many likes, how many comments, how many followers, how many shares, how many DMs, how much attention. Like, I gotta pay attention to my hair and my clothes, the way I talk. Like, everything has to be on point so that I'm perceived in the best possible way. You know what I mean? And even if you're not posting on social media, because most people don't, most people are following others, which is an amusing metaphor for life, isn't it? Most people aren't posting or being the main character in the movie that is their life. They're just watching other people live life. I think that's an amusing metaphor for life. It's probably not new. I'm sure somebody said that at some point before, or you probably thought about it that way. It's just amusing. But anyway, back to my point. Most people are not posting on social media. They're following. They're watching, liking, sharing, commenting, talking shit. You know what I mean? That's what most people are doing. But even those people, even those of us who aren't posting all the time, are still hyper aware of how we are being perceived, because we're hyper aware of how we're perceiving other people. Like, all of us spectators who go look at a viral video on TikTok, what do? We read the comments. And we're paying attention to how other people are commenting on this video. What are they saying? How are they saying it? Who agrees? How many likes did that comment get? How many likes did the video get? How many shares did it get? How many people agree with this opinion? What are they saying about her weight or his height or her accent or his whatever? We're hyper aware of these things. When you put yourself out there on the internet, everything is up for critique, for a lack of a better way of saying it. You're putting it all out there, and people will tear you apart piece by piece. Your appearance, your communication style, your nationality, whatever it is, bro. So we're all aware of this. And so if you spend all your time in this digital world and you see how people are getting judged so harshly, getting attacked and critiqued and ridiculed, like, even if it's just subconsciously, I think that, especially if you're someone who deals with social anxiety, it makes it even harder for you to put yourself out there, because you're afraid that you're not going to be perceived well in the real world. It's not that, I don't want to talk to people, I don't want to socialize. I'm just afraid of being perceived incorrectly. I'm afraid of people figuratively not liking my posts, or unfollowing me, or blocking me. Figuratively, I mean in real life. Like, you say something, and let's think about that as a tweet. You make a statement. That's a tweet. Or an Instagram post, or whatever the fuck, and nobody likes it. Or they think it's weird, or stupid, or corny. Nobody shares it. Nobody comments on it. You understand my metaphor? I'm speaking figuratively. I think a lot of people are afraid that that's what's going to happen. And I think that on some level, people fear being judged and perceived incorrectly, because they judge other people and perceive them incorrectly. People who are usually deeply afraid of being judged are often the ones who do the most judging. Because, what are you doing, bro? You're sitting on your phone all day just judging everything you see. You go out into the world and judge everyone you see. And for that reason, you're afraid that people are going to do the same to you. You're afraid that you're going to receive the same judgment that you give to other people. I don't know. I just think that one, of course, it's not like anything novel that I'm saying. Of course, social anxiety is a big thing, and we know the phone has played a big part in that. But I think that people often have a very Hollywood movie view or imagination of what social anxiety actually looks like. Like, when you imagine someone who's socially anxious and afraid to interact with other people, you probably imagine someone who's like sitting in the corner, biting his nails. His eyes are darting from side to side. He's shaking at the thought that somebody might approach him and try to make conversation. His voice cracks when he speaks. He's all hunched over with this insecure body language. No, bro. Of course, there are some people out there like that. But oftentimes, the person who's the most socially anxious often looks the most calm, cool, and collected. Like a lot of people out there who are socially anxious and afraid to interact with other people, they have learned to pretend not to be nervous. So if you ever seen that guy that seems antisocial, he seems unapproachable, he looks like he might be mad or angry, or he's just super stoic, never really says anything, doesn't interact with a lot of people, maybe, just maybe, it's not because he says, fuck everybody, don't talk to me. Maybe he's fucking scared of people, doesn't know what to say, but he's not gonna like overtly express his anxiety and his fear. Nah, he's just gonna play it cool. Because if I play it cool, if I look unapproachable, if I don't make eye contact, if I just stay to myself, then I won't have to interact with people and I won't have to face my fear. You see what I'm saying? That is social anxiety. And people don't look at it that way. People will look at a guy like that and say, man, he's just fucking antisocial. He must be crazy. He must be rude. He must be angry. He must be unapproachable. He doesn't want to talk to anybody. He never says anything. He thinks he's better than us. He thinks he's too good to talk to us. No, bro, he's fucking afraid of you. He's afraid that you might judge him. He's afraid that you're a piece of shit and that you might judge him without getting to know him first. And he doesn't know what to say because he never learned how to socialize like the rest of you. So he just doesn't say anything. And a lot of people don't think about it that way. Like if you go back and listen to those video clips, it's particularly... I was trying to say particularly and specifically at the same time. That happens a lot, bro. What the fuck? Anyway, if you go back specifically to the second video I played, this guy was almost like offended because he was in class. He saw this guy who had the same shoes and he was like, oh, bro, I like your shoes. You know, those are great. And the other guy kind of just nodded his head and didn't really say anything. And so the guy in the video, he's like, well, what the fuck? Like, what happened to social interaction? Fuck me. I guess like we're not allowed to talk to people anymore. And we don't know what the guy who didn't say anything, we don't know what he was thinking. We don't know what he was feeling. Maybe he was just having a bad day. Maybe he wasn't in the mood to talk. Maybe he just lost his grandmother. Maybe his best friend just got shot. Maybe he lost $100 in a dice game. You don't fucking know, bro. You don't know. And maybe he was just socially anxious and didn't know what to say. He's grown so accustomed to not talking to people that when somebody does talk to him, he just goes with the path of least resistance and says or does whatever will end the interaction the quickest. There's 100 possibilities. And my point is that a lot of times people will take it personally and say, damn, like people just don't want to talk anymore. People don't want to socialize anymore. What the fuck is wrong? And although that's understandable, we've all felt that way at some point, I would like to imagine. What I'm encouraging you to think about is maybe people are just fucking nervous and afraid. Maybe they're just nervous and afraid. Maybe they're afraid of being called awkward, weird, autistic, creepy, you know? Because again, people don't want to be perceived incorrectly. So if you walk up to somebody, just a random person, especially in a time where digital communication comes first, you just walk up to a random person and start making conversation, there's a chance that they look at you like, what the fuck who are you, bro? What do you want? Why are you talking to me? Fucking creep, leave me alone. And people don't want to be perceived that way. So maybe everyone's just walking around afraid of the very thing that they want. Nobody wants to make the first move, you know? So people just stop making an attempt to establish connections with other people. Instead, they pull out their phone and use that as a shield. It's a way to avoid eye contact. It's a way to avoid awkward silence. It's a way to avoid being bored or looking weird out in public. You know what I mean? Which is, it's so ironic too, because by doing that, by walking around looking at your phone, using your phone to fill every moment of silence or boredom, you're also communicating to people that you don't want to be talked to. Because for a lot of people, it's rude to approach somebody who's looking down at their phone and doing something, to approach somebody who's got their headphones in. For the average person who's moderately considerate of other people, they would take that as a sign that that person doesn't want to be bothered. Oh, she's got her headphones in, she's listening to music, I'm not going to bother her. Oh, he's looking down at his phone, he's in his own world right now, I'm not going to bother him. And so the irony is, if you're doing those things to avoid looking weird or awkward or uncomfortable, you're at the very same time almost guaranteeing that people won't approach you, so that you can get out of those weird, boring, awkward moments and actually connect with another human being. So I don't know if I've made my point clear. I'm not reading a script or anything like that. Just speaking from experience and what I think about this topic, man. I feel like social anxiety is so painfully misunderstood, even more so now because people get online and talk about it like I said, they have such a Hollywood movie perspective on it. They don't know what it is because they don't suffer with it. Or then you have the people who want to like dramatize it and make it seem like it's so much worse than it actually is. And I don't fall on any side of that spectrum. I'm right in the middle, and I just say, bro, it's just a fear of the unknown because you don't know how to do this thing. You don't know how to interact with people. And when you fear something, you typically avoid it. I mean, we're human beings. Some people move in the direction of their fears. They're a bit more courageous. But a lot of us, bro, like, it's a natural human emotion. Fear. It's there to protect you from a perceived threat. And in this case, the threat is social ridicule. Because no matter how introverted we may be, no matter how antisocial we may be, we're still social animals. It's in our DNA. It's in our nature. And so we're hardwired to seek the approval of those around us. And if we get disapproved and ridiculed and humiliated, like, that hurts, bro. Psychologically, that hurts. And so that is a threat to our well-being, and therefore we avoid it. And it doesn't always look like somebody who's shaking in the corner, you know, afraid that you'll just say hello to them. Sometimes, like I said, it's the person that just looks mean and unapproachable, and they're super quiet. They never say anything. It's not because they don't want to. They don't know what to say. They're afraid to say something. Or they think so little of themselves, they assume you're also going to think very little of them. So they just avoid the interaction. You know what I mean? Social anxiety comes in various flavors. That's what I'm saying. And I think that is at the heart of why people don't socialize or interact the way they used to. Not a lack of desire, but a lack of confidence. And the lack of confidence comes from the lack of experience. I say that all the time when talking about confidence speaking English as a foreign language. It's the same exact thing. Another major change, I think I've talked about this on the podcast before, bro. There's this, I believe she's a psychologist. I don't want to get it wrong. I believe her major was psychology. Anyway, Dr. Tayana Panova, you can check her out on TikTok, YouTube. She oftentimes talks about how our environments affect our psychological well-being and our behavior. And when I say our environment, I mean like the way our homes are designed, the way our streets are designed, what's available for us to do in the city, how many parks, how many bars, restaurants, like. And she said something very interesting, which is, especially in the United States of America, I know in other countries it's different. I've experienced the difference for myself. Like here in the United States, there are very few places for people to go and interact with other people. I just mean casual, just laid back interaction where you're going to meet people that you've never met before. People just live in your city, just random people. There's very few places to do that. Like your average neighborhood, your average city, like if you ask somebody in America, where do you go to have fun? What do you do? Where else do you hang out besides your home? It's a very short list of places, bro. Like I'm at home, I go to work. Maybe there's a public park nearby. Maybe you have the mall. Who the fuck goes to the movie theaters these days? maybe a restaurant, really a fast food chain, you know what I mean? Or clubs and bars downtown. And who the fuck is doing that every weekend? That's it. Other than that, I'm in my car or I'm in my house. And at the grocery store, I don't fucking talk to anybody. So like, where else are you going to go? Whereas you look at a place like Bangkok, Thailand, you look at, I've never been there, but I've seen videos and heard, let's call them stories about a place like Barcelona, Spain, where the city is designed in such a way that people are almost required to leave their homes. And even if they're not required, it's like when you leave your home, you're constantly finding yourself in situations where it would be normal to interact with strangers. There are events and shows taking place in the streets. There's little shops and markets. There's street food. Like, everybody's on foot walking from place to place. The majority of people are not riding in cars from one location to another. They're on motorbikes. They're walking on foot. They're taking the train. I can speak about Bangkok. Like, there's people everywhere. And of course, we're talking about a metropolis. Fucking, I think like 20 million people in the greater Bangkok area. So this may not be true for small towns, but my point is the same. The city is designed in such a way that when you leave the house, it's inevitable. You're going to cross paths with hundreds of thousands of people. You're taking the train everywhere. You're taking motor taxis. You're riding your motorbike. You're walking to the 7-Eleven. You're walking to get some street food. You're walking to the markets. You're walking to the show. Like, and there's people everywhere. Countless opportunities to interact with people is what I'm saying. And in the United States, we don't really have that. We don't really have that. And I think for that reason, in addition to the invention of smartphones and social media, people don't interact with each other because you're growing up with this technology. All your communication is done online. And when you leave the house, even if you want to go socialize, where are you going to go? You take your car to get everywhere. And there's really nowhere to go. Like, even if you have a car, where are you going to go? There's only places to go and spend money. There are very few, if any, places to go and socialize. Just hang out, bro. And so I think that that's something that doesn't get talked about enough. Again, Dr. Tayana Panova, Panova, I believe. Go check her out on TikTok specifically. She has tons of videos about this shit, bro. She's lived in Spain. She's lived in the United States. She's made videos about both places and compared them. It's really interesting stuff. And I think after watching her videos, you'll walk around and just realize, like, damn, the way my city is designed really does have an effect on the way people behave when moving around the city. You'll start to notice how many places and opportunities there are for people to interact, or how many places and opportunities there are not for people to just casually interact with each other outside of work and school. And so what I'm saying is, if you don't have those places, if the environment isn't conducive to social interaction, you can't really expect social interaction to take place, bro. Especially when the phone is so much easier. It's always there. I'm so used to it. Of course I'm going to keep looking at my phone. Of course I am. This is what I've been practicing all these years. So of course I'm going to keep doing that. And I don't know how that changes. I mean, like, I am nowhere near qualified to talk about redesigning cities so that they can be more conducive to social interaction. But I think if what we really want is that to change, then we have to focus on what's under our control, creating more spaces and more events for people to fucking talk to each other, bro. As far as teaching people communication skills, that's a whole nother thing, man. It's really difficult to do that online. Like, I talk about it on the podcast and shit, but it's difficult because everyone's personality is different. Everyone's culture is different. And you know what I think about culture and communication. So it's hard to say, do this, do that. Like, there's some kind of recipe in a cookbook that you can just follow and get the results that you're looking for. It doesn't work like that. Communication is art. It's not science. It's really both, but it's more art than it is science. So anyway, who knows what the future holds? But I think if I had to sum it up, this part of the episode, Social anxiety is deeply misunderstood, and it's at the heart of why so many people don't talk to other people these days. It's not that most people are antisocial or don't want to talk to people. It's that they don't know how to, and therefore they're afraid of it. And so I just want you to consider that the next time you try to talk to someone and they're not giving you the energy, they're not giving you they're not reciprocating the effort. It's not always the case, but oftentimes it's because they don't know how or they're afraid to. And other times, as I said, maybe they don't fucking like you. Maybe they're having a bad day. Maybe something tragic just happened to them. Maybe they're just in a bad mood, or they're spacing out their minds in another place. Like it's very rarely personal, bro. Very rarely is it personal. And you can't control how people react to you extending your hand in a genuine attempt to make a connection. You can't control how they respond. You just have to keep extending the hand, bro. And that's kind of, it's a humiliating experience. And when I say humiliating, I really mean humbling. Because it sucks, bro, to stick your hand out and expect somebody to extend their hand as well, and they don't. You're like, well, shit, fuck me, I guess. And then you have to just move on with your life. It's psychologically painful to do that again and again and again. And I think even more so for women and guys who don't approach women very often. And what I mean is, if you're a guy who approaches women in the streets and you're not afraid to do that kind of thing, it's normal for you. You understand what it means to get rejected frequently. To try to reach, extend the proverbial hand, to figuratively extend your hand and try to establish a connection with someone, and they're just like, fuck off, not interested. If you're used to that, then it's no big deal for you. But if you're a guy that doesn't really do that kind of thing very often, it can be frightening, and humiliating. It crushes the ego. What's the word I'm looking for? It crushes the ego forcefully. And if you're a woman, like, the reason I say it's probably harder is because most women don't approach guys in social interactions. You know what I mean? So it's my point is, it's very difficult to do that again and again and again and get rejected and not have your effort reciprocated and all that shit. It sucks, bro. It sucks. And after a while, you're just like, fuck it. Why am I even doing this? And I'm just not going to do it anymore. But I implore you not to let that thought stop you from doing it. Just keep doing it, bro. Just keep doing it. Sooner or later, it's going to work out for you. Like, you can't miss every single shot that you take. It's impossible. Sooner or later, the ball is going in the net. You know what I mean? If you sit in the barber's chair long enough, you're going to get a haircut. Do you guys say this in your language? It's a common idiom. At least it was back in the day. I haven't heard anybody young say that. But I'll say again, if you sit in the barber's chair long enough, eventually you're going to get a haircut. Now, that idiom can be used for various situations. Like sometimes, like I think in the last episode, I talked about drug addicts. And sometimes they'll use that idiom in reference to drug addicts. Like, okay, you say you want to quit doing drugs, but if you keep going and hanging out with people who do drugs, if you keep hanging out with the person that's dealing drugs, if you keep going to places where drugs are being done, sooner or later, you're going to do some drugs, bro. If you sit in the barber's chair long enough, eventually you're going to get a haircut. So you can use that for various situations. It just means if you keep putting yourself in this environment or that position or doing that thing, sooner or later, there's going to be a reaction. Something's going to happen. That's what I'm saying. So with all that being said, you might still be wondering, okay, what the fuck is the point of this episode? Because it's not to say social media is ruining society. It's not to say people are just socially anxious, because I'm just making observations. I'm just stating opinions up to this point. I have been stating opinions up to this point. But the real takeaway from this episode, if there is one, is that there is a solution to the problem. And I kind of alluded to it just a second ago, which is, bro, just keep shooting your shot. And I don't just mean with the ladies. You might not even know what that means. To shoot your shot in a dating sense is typically, it could be a guy or a girl, it doesn't really matter. But when one person approaches another person in an attempt to get their number, to make a connection, to flirt with them, to go from stranger to something more. You shoot your shot. Kind of like Kobe from the 3-point line. He shoots and tries to make the shot. Messi, he kicks the ball and tries to get it into the net. Like they're shooting their shots. Think about that figuratively in the dating context. You know, trying to score, if you know what I mean. Metele un golecito. What was I saying? I got distracted. Anyway, yeah, I alluded to that just a second ago. The point is, the solution to all of this, bro, is just to get better at socializing. That's all it is. You can't control what other people do. You can't control how other people behave. What you can do is get better at socializing. Now, it's a double-edged sword because the better you get at socializing, the more you'll realize how much people fucking suck at it. But again, you can't control that. You put yourself in the best possible position by getting better at socializing. So when you come across other people who want to socialize, you can give yourself a better chance of that interaction going smoothly, positively, ending on a good note. You see what I'm saying? So for those of you that are socially anxious, this episode is really for you, bro. It's really for you. So I'm going to play one more video of a guy talking about what it actually looks like and what it means to get better at socializing and how you do it. And the reason I'm playing this video in particular is because, well, I think he's right. And it's something that I identify with. I've experienced this in my own life. So I'm not just talking about theory. I'm talking about something you can actually do, even though it's going to be hard, but it will have a positive effect on your ability to socialize with other people. So let's check it out.
The funny thing about getting better at socializing is that it is the exact opposite of everything you think it's going to be. If you're socially anxious, what do? You replay every scenario in your head. You try to perfect it. You try to be more funny, more interesting. You tell yourself, oh, if I would have said that joke at that moment, that would have been funny. Or if you're in the moment, you think about what you should say next and what outcome you want out of each social interaction. And yet the only way to actually get better at socializing is to forget completely about the outcome. Completely drop all your expectations, because that is when you become calm and relaxed. That is when you become natural. And that's when conversations flow naturally. When you're talking with someone you're comfortable with, you're not thinking about what to say next or what kind of joke to say here or there. You're just bouncing off the other person and you're responding intuitively. So if you want to get better at socializing, you have to stop caring about being better at socializing.
All right, my friends. Now, that's after listening to that for the first time, you might say, well, fucking duh, bro. Here we go again. Another motherfucker saying, just stop being anxious, bro. Just stop caring, bro. Once you stop caring, life becomes so simple. It just becomes so fucking easy, doesn't it? But trust me, bro, he's right. It sounds cliche. It sounds corny. It doesn't sound very helpful on the surface, but he's right. Because that's what it's about. I know how you motherfuckers think, bro. I'm one of you. My whole life I've been socially anxious. To this day, it troubles me. So I know how you motherfuckers think. And the issue is that we never learned how to socialize like the average person. Therefore, we don't know what to say or do in a social interaction. And that makes us anxious because we feel like we're performing. Everyone else knows something that we don't know. Everyone else knows the steps to this dance. And we're over here tripping over our own feet. And we're afraid that people are going to notice that and we're going to look stupid and they're going to point fingers and laugh at us or think we're weird or fucking creepy or boring. And so we just freeze up. We get so tense and locked up and don't know what to say or what to do. And then we start overthinking it. Well, maybe if I say this and they say that, and then they're going to laugh and they're going to think I'm cool. We start thinking about it like it's a fucking math equation. You know what I mean? I'm going to say this, and then she's going to laugh, and she's going to think I'm cool, and then I'll say this, and then she's going to respond like that, and then we'll live happily ever after and have 6 kids. You know what I mean? You try to think about it step by step by step by step into the future when you literally can't do that, bro. This shit is not mathematics, it's jazz. You understand? It's just pure improvisation. You cannot predict exactly what someone is going to say. You cannot predict exactly how someone's going to react. You cannot plan every statement that you're going to make in a conversation. It's impossible. You just got to go with the flow. That's all it is. And so a big problem for us socially anxious people is that we're trying to predict the future. We're so focused on the outcome that we want from the interaction. I want this person to like me. I want to make them laugh. I want them to think this about me. I want them to walk away with this impression. I want them to whatever, or I want to do X, Y, and Z. Totally focused on the end goal of the conversation as opposed to the conversation itself. And that's the wrong thing to be focused on. It's just, again, it sounds like stupidly simple, but it really is just about letting go of expectations of what happens. Because I think that for a lot of socially anxious people, the issue is, and I'm generalizing very grossly, so don't take this as like a scientific fact. It's a gross generalization. But I think a lot of us socially anxious people grew up in environments where we didn't feel safe psychologically. We didn't feel seen as people. We didn't feel welcome, and we didn't have people in our lives who made us feel like we were valuable or interesting or something to be proud of or funny or any of those positive things. And it's funny, it's not funny. It's interesting because as a lot of kids, you look up to your parents or your grandparents, your older brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles, and you want their approval. So even if these people are mistreating you or mishandling you or neglecting you or whatever, you as a kid don't really understand what that means. You just know it doesn't feel good. And a lot of kids will internalize that and assume it's because of something they did. I did something to cause my mother to neglect me. I did something to cause my father to abuse me. I did something to cause my uncle to treat me like shit. Even if kids don't think with that language, a lot of times they internalize that feeling. And at the very same time, as kids, looking up to these people in our lives, we still want their approval. So deeply, we want their approval. And so it's like it creates this weird dynamic where you're always on edge and always nervous around these people, and you want them to like you. You want to do the right thing and say the right thing so that they respond positively to you. But then you turn 18, then you turn 21, then you turn 24, you leave the house at whatever fucking age. You leave the house, now you're an adult, you're on your own. And you never got that approval from your parents or your superiors, whoever raised you, your caretakers. You never got the approval from them or anyone else in your family. Probably didn't make very many friends because you're fucking awkward and socially anxious. And now you're out in the world looking for that approval. Your inner child, as they like to call it, that the little you, the little kid that never fully matured or developed, that's still deep down inside of you, is out in the world looking for that same approval from fucking strangers. And that's why you're so afraid of being perceived incorrectly. That's why you're so afraid of being judged or called weird or awkward or being a social outcast. You're so afraid of making the first move. You're so afraid of what people may think of you. You're so afraid that the outcome may not be the one that you were hoping for because you're so worried about being approved of by people who don't even fucking know you, bro. They don't know the first thing about you. Who gives a fuck what they think? And I know it sounds cliche. I know I've said shit like this before. You've heard it 1,000 times, but I promise you, speaking from my experience, it's the truth. It's the truth. It's all because you so deeply desired the approval that you never got from the people who theoretically mattered most during your developmental years. And so once you let go of the need for people's approval, things just become simpler. You'll stop thinking about, oh, I hope this, I want this outcome from the interaction. I hope they think this about me. What, do they think I'm weird? Is she judging me? Is he laughing at me? Who gives a fuck? I don't need their approval, bro. And so I say it's simple, but it's certainly not easy because in my experience, you have to get to a point where you know yourself and accept yourself to such a degree that like it doesn't really matter what anyone else says. I don't know if you guys have seen the movie 8 Mile with Eminem, but I believe it was one of the last scenes in the movie. Like they were doing this battle rap back and forth, and Eminem's a white boy. Like in Black American hip hop culture, you know, the white boy thinks that he's about to come in here and show us what hip hop is. He thinks he's about to come and rap better than us. Like, you may not understand what I just said, but just keep following me. Anyway, in the last scene in that movie, in the battle rap, Eminem starts talking about all the things that are wrong with him, all of his flaws. Because again, he's in a competition. He's rapping against this other guy, and they're supposed to ridicule each other. So Eminem's like, yeah, I am white. I am white trash. I do live with my mom in a fucking trailer park. I am poor. I am ugly. I am this. I am that. Saying all these negative things about himself, so that when it's his opponent's turn to start rapping and talking shit, he has nothing to say. Eminem already said all that negative shit about himself. So his opponent can't say anything. He doesn't know what to say now. He's just stuck. And Eminem won the battle. And I think that's a very decent metaphor that illustrates what I'm talking about. Once you truly accept all the good and the bad about yourself, you are weird. You can be creepy. You are boring sometimes, like all of us. You are, I don't know, short. You are fat. You're ugly. I don't know what people are insecure about, bro. Whatever you're insecure about, whatever you don't like about yourself, whatever has happened to you in your past. If you truly accept it, why would somebody else mentioning it have any psychological or emotional effect on you? You know? Like if you have long brown hair and you know that, you look at it every morning and you accept that's the way it is. And I say, damn, you have some long brown hair. Why would that affect you? It wouldn't. So if you know deep down you're awkward and socially anxious because you didn't have much interaction as a kid and this, that, and the other thing happened to you, if you truly accept that and somebody else mentions how awkward and weird you look, it's like, yeah, no, I'm working on it. You really don't even have to say that. You don't have to say anything. You already know. So it's tough to get to that place psychologically where you truly get to know yourself and accept yourself to such an extent that other people commenting on who you are, or more accurately, who they perceive you to be, it just doesn't affect you that much, if at all. And once you get to that place mentally, it's much easier, bro, because it's like, I don't care if these people approve of me or not. I don't care. It's not that I don't want their approval. It'd be nice to have it. I've always want more friends, more girls, more better job opportunities, or whatever comes from social interaction. I always want all that good stuff. But if I don't get it, it is what it is. And I don't remember where I heard this, where I saw this, where I read this, but somebody said something like, social interaction really changes for you when you stop entering the interaction and asking yourself or hoping that they like you. When you stop saying, man, I hope they like me, I hope they approve of me, and instead start saying, I hope I like them. I hope I approve of them. I hope they're cool. I hope they're somebody that I can fuck with, that I can get along with. A lot of shit starts to change when you approach social interaction in that way. Because you can't control whether or not somebody likes or approves of you, bro. I mean, I guess it's not that simple. There's things that you can do to be more charismatic, to be more likable. That's for sure. You can check out the YouTube channel Charisma on Command. You can check out the YouTube channel on YouTube. I was about to say, you can check out that YouTube channel, Charisma on Command. There's tons of videos talking about basic things you can do. It's very general advice, observational advice that you can take and try to apply to become more charismatic in social settings. But at the end of the day, like, there are just some people who are not going to like you, bro. Sometimes for no reason. They don't even really understand why they don't like you. They just don't like you. That's just the way it is. And so if you stop entering an interaction by wondering if they like you and instead ask yourself, do I like them? Shit just becomes much easier, bro. I'm telling you, it becomes so much easier. You start to train yourself not to seek that approval that you never got as a kid. You know? You just, I don't know how else to say it. You just stop caring about it. It's like, why am I trying to impress or satisfy people I don't even like? Because ain't that weird? Like, going back to the childhood example, these people who aren't even treating you well, you want their approval, and you're fucking tap dancing, trying to make them laugh and smile when you don't even like them because they don't treat you well. So then you go out into the world and you're trying to get approval from people that you don't even fucking like. You just want to be approved of by somebody. So you keep engaging in those behaviors. But when you stop and ask yourself, damn, do I even like these motherfuckers? No, I don't. So fuck them. Which is not to say I want them to suffer. I want to see them die. It's just like, no, bro, I don't like you. You don't like me. So I'm going to stay over here. And I hope you stay way the fuck over there. I'm going to still speak when I see you. Good morning. What's up? What's going on? All right now. And I'm going to keep it moving. Because I don't need your approval. And you don't need mine. It's just what it is. It's what it is, bro. You're not going to be liked by everybody. You're not going to be approved of by everybody. So just accept that shit and just be yourself. Just let it loose and get, like I said, get out of the mentality that communication and conversations are like math. 2 + 2 is not always 4. Doesn't work that way when talking to people. This shit is jazz. It's dancing. It's improvisation. You know? If you make a silly joke and nobody laughs, so fucking what? You thought it was funny. That's why you said it. If you bring up a topic nobody else finds interesting, I guess I can't talk about this topic with these people. Go find somebody else to talk about it with. You see what I'm saying? It's just like getting over the idea that you can predict and control the outcome of an interaction. Just go with the flow. Say whatever comes to, well, don't do that. Don't always say whatever comes to mind, because you might say some fucked up shit. Think before you speak, but like, don't overthink it, man. That's what I'm saying. Just roll with it. Just fucking roll with it. And this is something that I still struggle with from time to time, man. Like just letting loose and having fun with people that I don't really know. You know what I mean? But it's about getting out of your head and just flowing with it. You know, people aren't thinking about you as much as you're thinking about yourself. That is a fact. So stop thinking about yourself and how you're being perceived and just be yourself. Who gives a fuck how people perceive you? Most people don't know how to perceive correctly. Most people look and do not see, bro. That's most people. They're looking at you and they don't even see you. So why the fuck would you be worried about how they see you? They don't know how to perceive you properly anyway. You could present yourself in the best possible way and people will still misinterpret your behavior, your words, your clothing choice, your facial expressions, your body language. Like, you can't control that shit. So just do you, bro. Just do you and let go of the idea that like every interaction has to go perfectly and every person has to think highly of me. And watch things change, bro. Just watch.